Okay, it's Friday, and Friday means it's time for AJ's movie reviews, and you know what that means? That means we're going to be talking about 3 movies, 2 of which that are in theaters right now, and 1 of which is in very select theaters as well. It's also on VOD.
It was
now?
It was released on the internet September 24th, and it's getting a straight to DVD release.
Then why are you reviewing it? Because that's not your rules.
Because my review will tell you that it should have been actually released.
Fair enough. So we will be, of course, discussing...
You seemed outraged.
I know, your normal rule is it has to open at least 1 theater. Just like Killshot, literally, 1 theater. And we still use that joke to this day, and that movie is how many years old?
2009.
That's what I thought it was 2009. Okay, 4 years old, that joke still sticks. But then again, we have all sorts of jokes that stick from many, many longer than that, so...
Also, I've been a massive fan of the series since a child, so I felt it was my duty to see it, I guess.
Well, you're going to have to introduce me to the Child's Play series, because obviously I've only seen the theatrical movies that have been out while I've been working for the company, so... Today we're going to be discussing 2 really big films for different reasons. One of which is going to be a Oscar juggernaut, and the other of which is probably going to end up being a cult classic. Potentially.
Or a wannabe cult classic.
Potentially. So we're talking Captain Phillips and Machete Kills today, as well as discussing the latest Chucky film, The Curse of Chucky. So, AJ, take it away.
Alright, obviously, the most interesting thing about this movie going in, but there's plenty of interesting things going in, but the thing that was plaguing us was the Oscar question mark.
Correct.
It was one of a couple where it's not really, it's Oscar gore is not really cemented or anything.
It's kind of teetering right now.
At least I don't say, I say it's being seen now.
Yes.
But it's Tom Hanks doing a true story with Paul Greengrass, who did United 93 and the other 2 Bourne movies.
Yep.
So he's got a good record.
You could say that.
And the screenwriter is Billy Ray, who got a lot of acclaim for doing Shattered Glass and Breach. So, plenty of things in this movie's favor. We have Catherine Keener as his wife in an amusing part for the simple fact that the scene in the trailer you see where she comes down the stairs and then they drive to the airport together, that's all you get. Catherine Keener disappears.
I didn't even see that scene last night.
Yeah, you'll have that anecdote in a minute.
I will, don't worry.
So we know there's kind of a general foreboding because apparently he doesn't like when he has to go off. Like he and Catherine Keener have this little dialogue in the car about how you would think it would get easier as time goes on, but it actually gets harder for him.
Of course.
Goes out, especially since these waters are known for being
riddled with pirates.
Yeah. And sure enough, as he's going into the airport, we cut to, I saw the fucking thing twice, and I can't remember where they were specifically. But we see the pirates, like, before their journey to the ship. Basically talking about how they're, we meet Musey, who is, I think you say it, Barkov.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I'm guessing. I don't normally like to guess pronunciation of names because I hate the idea of saying a name wrong.
But this name will probably be pretty prevalent very soon, so...
Yeah, he'll probably get I see that National Society Film Critics Award right in his... Or the LA Film Critics Award in his sites.
A Film Critics Award of some nature will be in his grasp very soon.
They're the ones that like to go off the chain. Like, I would say he's this year's Dwight Henry.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because he's, this guy who's never acted before that they just kind of...
Plucked out of obscurity.
And dropped into this movie, and he got a really juicy supporting part, and I imagine their acclaim will probably be on the same level. Those of you that aren't remembering, it's the Adam Beast of Southern Wild. It's Dwight Henry.
Yes.
But the thing is we have, the trailer depicts Musey as this, the pronunciation online said Musey, but in the movie they say Musey. So, whatever.
I trust the movie more than I trust the internet, so...
But the thing about him is the trailer depicts him as this hardcore villain. Almost like a Somali Hans Gruber. But they actually, I guess there were some complaints about this is like America trying to condemn them while at the same time embracing them. People get mad at us for everything, but
yeah,
we can't do anything right when we're doing a true story that's got politics in it.
no, of course not.
But they paint Musey as this. The only reason he's so hardcore is because he's so driven.
Yeah.
Because he really wants this money for his people, even if he's, doing the wrong things to get it. He feels that's his only choice. And we see him like he's really under pressure on top of the fact that he's got this... He's really just a lackey.
Yeah.
That appoints himself the captain. Because there's this other guy. Because there's this whole segment before we even go into the movie, it's what you're at the movie for, where there's 2 boats of them, and they're on their way. But then Captain Phillips does this entertaining ruse where he acts like he's got a whole cavalry coming, and it scares one of them off, but Musey doesn't want to leave because he's so determined.
Exactly.
And then because this guy, obviously he's very gaunt, I think is the word.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy just keeps this guy actually calls him Skinny all the time. That's his actual name for him.
Everyone has their own little, small nicknames, too, for each other.
So basically, he hits this guy over the head with a wrench and takes over this mission.
Yep.
More or less. And even then, there's still a couple of guys in his crew that kind of push him around a little bit. So, he's not this... It's not this one-dimensional... This hardcore villain takes over the ship. Hostage crisis ensues.
A lot more layers to it than that.
It's about 45 to 50 minutes in before the real takeover happens.
Yep.
And we and it's the poster when they finally get there, when they have to fend themselves off with these hose, kind of like fire hoses because they're so powerful.
Yeah.
And they kind of are impossible to get through. And I found it really interesting. This is just what happens. This is just science. But I found it to be kind of a happy accident. Maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe it was an effect. I don't know. But for some reason, I love the contrasting in this one particular shot. This is this is the start of me campaigning hardcore for Green Grass to get in. You have this really intense scene with a really intense score. The pirates are finally getting on board after they fought them off so much. And it's just this really tense scene and this big moment. But what's really interesting is the way the hoses are going. There's a rainbow cast over this scene.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a very interesting contrast within the scene. So, I don't know, you can take that for whatever symbolic purposes you want. This is a mainstream movie. It's not allowed to be symbolic. Only art house movies are. Don't you know that? But another interesting thing this movie does is, I'm going into another thing that makes Musey human is the fact that there's this particular moment where they're in the
Lifeboat?
Yeah, whatever that is, with Hanks.
Technically it was a lifeboat, but it was not like a lifeboat I've seen before.
And Hanks is basically trying to talk him out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, he just keeps telling, this isn't the right way to do it. You can do this and you can get out of it, and then, just stop this now. And basically I think his line is just, you don't understand, I can't give up.
In the trailer moment, of course, everybody knows.
Maybe in America, I think that's a different...
Yep.
But the interesting thing about this movie is it's not just Die Hard on a ship, basically, which is what it was built up to be.
I've never heard that before, but that's interesting.
The interesting thing, you never got that vibe?
No, I got the vibe, but I never heard someone actually say that before.
It's also like a much more well-acted version of Under Siege or something.
Oh.
without weapons. But it's the movie is not one thing.
No.
In the trailer, it's basically Musey appoints himself captain, hostage crisis ensues, movie goes. But as the movie goes throughout, the power keeps shifting.
Yep.
Musey and his guys will be in control, and then somehow the crew and Phillips will overpower them, and then they're in control. But then somehow Musey finds a way to gain control back, and it's just kind of a back and forth battle, which makes it really enticing. I wrote some other stuff down.
No one's gaining the upper hand for too long.
Yeah, and what's great is just when you think you see a potential hostage crisis movie that's 2 hours and 15 minutes long, you're afraid there might be some redundancy. But the thing is we have I don't think I'm going too much into spoilers here. I'm not telling you anything you don't learn from the trailer.
Sure.
There's this moment where they think the pirates are coming for them and they're trying to fend them off. That could have been a whole movie by itself and been awesome.
Yeah.
There's the segment where they are on the boat and they've seized it. That could have been a whole movie by itself and been awesome.
Yeah.
Then there's the third act where they're in the lifeboat with Hanks. That by itself could have been a whole movie by itself and been awesome.
Wow. So
it's just this it's like 3 different movies going on, but all in this same epic story. And it's really interesting to call it an epic story because it takes place over the span of through a few days.
It's like a P.T. Anderson movie.
It's like the Magnolia hostage movie.
Yes, indeed.
That makes no sense, but
made me laugh.
But everything about it technically is going on too. Like you have the cinematography, you have the editing. Apparently, the editing got some complaints, but that's the thing about Greengrass, obviously. If you saw the Bourne Ultimatum or United '93, if you're gonna watch a Paul Greengrass movie, there is a high chance of motion sickness.
Yeah, easily.
Because of the way things are. But the thing is, apparently this movie's getting a lot of heat for it. I don't know if it's because I'm so used to it from his other movies, or if it's because I was expecting it so much. I didn't really feel the shaky cam and the quick editing as much as, I didn't find it noticeable enough to complain or anything.
Well, it was like when they were in the lifeboat, and you could definitely tell it was the symbol. Wow, long day. The symbolization of the motion of the ocean as they're in the lifeboat, and when you're watching the film, you can actually feel
there is that great scene where they're when they should be slowing down when they're going to the boat, because when they're just in their small boat trying to get to the ship. They think they should slow down because the waves are too big, but Musey wants to speed up, and you get that feeling, especially if you've been in a boat, where it's you get that feeling of, oh my god, they're getting off the boat, but
and of course they kill the motor because they run it too hard.
Yeah. And that's what causes them to delay until the next day.
Yep.
And causes him to have the confrontation with the guy that's been ridiculing him.
Yep.
One thing I thought was, apparently, I can see it, but I have 2 totally different opinions on these movies. I can, not the story or anything, but just technically, the way it's made and the way it's shot and the way it's edited, and just some of the things. A lot of people are comparing this to Zero Dark 30.
It's interesting.
But no, I'm not a fan of Zero Dark 30. I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah.
There's this particular shot that is awesome. Pretty much everything, the whole cinematography from the, it's not really taking place at night. It's the evening, where it's just this really vague blue sky and everything's almost in silhouette for a lot of the ending. And you have the skydiving shots. Mm-hmm. They're in the trailer for half a second, but the way the skydiving shots that really stuck out in my head.
Yeah, it looked amazing. The dark silhouette and they're all coming down from this.
This just, I didn't know anything about the true story. I wasn't aware that this is actually adapted from a book written by Captain Phillips, so I wasn't aware that how this turned out exactly. Even though, obviously the real person's still alive, you had no idea what else happens to everybody else.
Yeah.
Or how things roll out. But this movie's really intense.
Yeah, it is.
in a really good way.
Definitely.
Because there's a real sense of danger, obviously. And there's the way Busey has played. That guy, apparently he's just some guy from Minneapolis.
Yep.
That they just kind of found.
Correct.
Good God, he's so insanely menacing.
Great.
He, like the particular, like I imagine he was going to, and he did maintain that menacing factor despite the human qualities to him.
Of course.
But the one shot that really just engraved in my head, like, this guy is a lot of trouble. Before the scene where he confronts Hanks and appoints himself captain, he's just approaching Hanks with this smile on his face. It's really creepy.
Calls him Irish.
Yeah. Yeah, they have names for each other.
Yep.
I forget what his name was to him, but it was... Yeah, I don't really have anything but good things to say about this, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
As far as its Oscar opportunities, I would say... From the get-go, I've said Hanks was in. I'm pretty sure now. I'm pretty positive. Somebody said... I read a critic saying that the last scene with Hanks is probably the most emotionally powerful scene that will be this year.
That's an intense scene.
And, like I said, I would really like this to do well. I would say picture nominations are pretty possible.
Yeah, I'd say it's getting in the picture.
I haven't been predicting Greengrass, but I've been hearing a lot of people predicting Greengrass. I want it to happen, but I don't know if I should shift to it or not. Actually predicting it.
Well, it's funny because I don't know how everyone's taking to it right now, because obviously we're in Friday now and we haven't gone to the weekend. But I don't know how people are taking to it, but I have a feeling there's a possible chance that the love that the public seems to have for Cuarón is going to shift to Greengrass one way or another.
Okay.
I think it might. Because Gravity's an amazing movie.
And it's only a week old.
Yeah. Captain Phillips, on the other hand, is amazing for a whole different reason. And I think that, I truly believe that both of them, I can't see them both running. I think it's going to be one or the other.
Between Greengrass and Cuarón?
Yes.
Well, Cuarón's not missing, so...
I don't know.
So I heard somebody say recently that 12 Years a Slave and Gravity is going to be the next No Country for Old Men versus There Will Be Blood. But, yeah, I just can't say enough good things about this movie.
It's an incredible film.
I think the problem is going to be, I don't know if people have a problem with the slow start. Because there are some people that get a little impatient.
And the subtitles, and a lot of people have a problem with those.
I don't think that'll be... Because when they speak in subtitles, it's usually... It's not like a lot at one time.
No.
So... and it's pretty short sentences.
Yeah.
It's probably there's probably a clever translation thing there, like music could say like a whole paragraph and they just condense it down to like 2 sentences in subtitles.
Yeah.
Just give you the basic ideas all you need. So yeah, if you wanna add anything.
Well, first I want to talk about what happened last night.
Yeah, the technical difficulty anecdote.
Okay, as you guys know, I'm a projectionist, so I build the movies, and actually these are the first 2 movies I built since I was gone. So that and Machete, obviously, I built those both. So we had an issue with the runtime being shorter and or longer, depending on which way you look at it, than it's supposed to be. To the point that there was an overlap. So, in the case of an overlap, I'll give you a little bit of inside info here. In case of an overlap, it's not going to play. You put it in the schedule, it's not going to play. Well, it didn't play. So, I had to go upstairs and fix it. And then there was no sound. So, I had to fix that. And then there was complaints and all sorts of things I couldn't do anything about, but I passed by everyone and started it over again without any trailers. So yeah, the only thing I could do was start it without trailers. There was no way to do it. I couldn't start it from the beginning because it would run into the next show. But luckily, it ended like 15 minutes early and everything was fine.
Of course, I was the one that had to deal with the awkwardness of sitting in the theater with those people.
Yeah.
Knowing it was being taken care of, but they didn't know it was being taken care of, and they were starting to get restless.
Now, you could have piped up and said something like it's being fixed or something like that, but I know that's not you, so that would never have been the case. But Once the movie got started, I was in. I was in, like, from the second it started. I mean, I'll admit, I have a little bit of an issue, a big issue with kind of nodding off during movies. It happens all the time. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, how much did you miss of Machete?
I don't know. Probably a little bit of it. I'll have to go back and check it later on the internet or something. Because I don't think you want to watch it again. Who knows? We'll find out in a minute. But, yeah, it's just... From the beginning of Captain Phillips was just like... It was like, what, 2:15? I don't remember, 2:06, 2:07. So it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes without previews and everything. I think it's like...
exact runtime's 2:14.
Yeah. So, like, it was like 2:06 when the preview, or the credits started, I know, because I put it in there. So, let's say 2 hours and 15 minutes, just for sake of argument. And from the moment the movie started until the moment that the movie was over, I was on the edge of my seat. There were people around me, and sometimes when I watch a movie, I kind of get, like, not necessarily distracted, but I get, like, uncomfortable. I don't want to be around, like, things. So I sometimes can't enjoy a movie. But Captain Phillips, the brilliance of the movie and the brilliance of Greengrass and Hanks together is just, I'm telling you right now, I mean, Captain Phillips is an amazing film. Absolutely amazing film. And I liked it a whole lot more than I ever thought I would. And I thought I was going to really like it, but I love this movie. And this movie's amazing. And it's easily, I would say it's the best movie at Regal right now. Without question. Prisoners is probably a close, like, it's kind of like tied with Prisoners right now, maybe. And then Gravity's there too.
I prefer Prisoners to both, and I think I might slightly prefer Gravity to Captain Phillips. But there's a lot of fucking good movies out.
there's three really good movies that are kind of vying for what's best right now, and like, it's a time in the theater, honestly, at least at my theater, that you can't go wrong with nearly anything that's out, and that doesn't happen very often.
Is Baggage Claim still out?
No, it's gone.
Okay.
We got it ready Thursday night. So yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with anything out. So if you have a chance to go see this in your theater, first of all, you should have already watched it, number one. And if you didn't, then go watch it. I mean, it's an amazing film. It's quite an emotional roller coaster, to be totally honest. And you will feel for the characters in every single way possible. You'll root against the pirates, which I did several times. Like, my God, can you just back off Captain Phillips for 5 minutes?
Another thing I thought it did really good, this is to kind of, not to be happy that Catherine Keener didn't get much screen time, but normally what movies like this do, especially in hostage situations, is we cut back to the family to kind of add some emotion to it.
Nothing.
No cuts back to Catherine Keener whatsoever. We're just we just hear things every now and then, like, this is what your family knows, and so forth. But
we know that his family knows the situation, but we don't know anything more than that. We were told numerous times, your family's been told that you're okay, your family knows what's going on, and you can talk to your family once you get taken care of by the doctor, so. Yeah, amazing film. So.
Is that that?
That's that.
Alright. Let's move on to Machete Kills. I was very, very unsure about this because I think I've made it known more than once that I'm not a fan of the first one.
No.
Not at all, really.
Did you like the Grindhouse trailer?
Yeah.
Because it was just going to be a trailer and it wasn't going to be an actual movie.
Yeah, I thought converting it to a movie was a really bad idea and completely ruined the whole joy of the trailer that was at the beginning of Grindhouse.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to make it this franchise thing. The very first scene of the movie is a trailer for the new one, which has been confirmed by an IMDb page. We will, in fact, have Machete Kills again in space.
Yes.
Which they already made the trailer for, which basically already tips you off which characters live and which characters don't, basically. A couple of things are shrouded in mystery, but for the most part, because of this trailer, you pretty much know who lives and who dies.
And that's really like a ballsy move to put that on before the movie starts.
Yeah, and then they kind of touch on it again at the end. They show more clips. They'll probably be changed by that. But anyway,
yeah.
But it had some great moments. Like we see all the cast we know there's going to be in this movie. And we see this guy, who is explained eventually, in this steel mask. Mm. And of course they make a Man in the Iron Mask joke.
Yes.
And they say that it's DiCaprio. Which is also funny because, obviously DiCaprio would never be in a movie like this.
Nope.
So, after that, it pauses, and an asterisk comes up that says, actor subject to change.
Which were the ones that laughed at it.
And then my favorite joke from the original Machete trailer came back. The Rated X.
Rated X.
Which annoys me because we know it won't be if it's really released, but, And then it gives the reasons, like
cigarette smoking.
And then it goes into the movie. And that trailer playing out just like the original Machete trailer tipped me off to something. And it's kind of what the Machete Kills trailer looked like too. And it tipped me off to something that I didn't like about the first one and I don't like about this one.
Okay.
Obviously what this all stems from is Grindhouse.
Of course.
And when you actually watch Grindhouse, when you actually watch the full movies of Planet Terror and Death Proof, Planet Terror and Death Proof have that shoddy editing and the missing reel and the scratches that Rodriguez and Tarantino made themselves in the film.
Yeah, of course.
But the Machete movies, as the movies themselves, are totally clean. Like, just totally...
They look like a regular film.
Yeah, and that kind of takes away from what they're doing. I don't know if it's like... I don't know why he wouldn't do that, because that's like the whole point, because... The ridiculousness of movies like, Planet Terror is great, of course, but the ridiculousness that takes place within that movie with the scratchy film makes it what it is.
Yeah.
This, you get the ridiculousness without the Grindhouse feel.
It is the Grindhouse feel until the the credit sequence is over.
And another thing I don't like, what both Machetes do this, there's pretty much no actual fake blood. It's all CG blood.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that really takes away from the Grindhouse era, because obviously in the Grindhouse era they didn't have CG blood.
Nope.
You would think Rodriguez would kind of keep up with that.
There was no such thing as CG back in the Grindhouse era.
Like it's almost like he was in too much of a hurry to make this.
He wanted to get it out, I guess.
It's not even written by him.
Yeah.
That was weird to me. I'm pretty sure this is like the first movie he's ever done that he didn't write besides From Dusk Till Dawn.
It was written by a guy named Kyle Ward.
His name kind of looks familiar. No, it doesn't. This is his first full screenplay. He's doing the Kane and Lynch movie later.
Yeah, the movie based on the video game. It's got apparently Jamie Foxx in it. Or at least it did at one point.
And Bruce Willis. Which may or may not even be made. They haven't even really pushed forward on it. But anyway, obviously we learned that the plot is, actually we don't learn this, I'm telling you now.
Yeah, no lie.
Damien Bashir, from Savages and a Better Life. And he was Castro in the Che movies by Sober. He's basically going to launch a weapon into space.
Correct.
Pretty much. So the president, who is Charlie Sheen, calls in Machete, who was about to be assassinated by the sheriff, who is William Sadler, who got severely demoted from being the president in Iron Man 3. And it ensues. This is kind of a spoiler, but it's only a spoiler for the first 5 minutes. Like, this scene happens in the first 5 minutes, so I don't know if you really care if it's a spoiler or not. So I'm going to say it. At the start of the movie, Jessica Alba gets a headshot. Mm-hmm. Which basically prompts Machete to do this as like an act of vengeance for her.
Yes.
But then, of course, as we all know, we've learned from the trailers, and we've known for quite some time if you've been following the pre-production of the movie, Dan Bashir is actually just a lackey for Mel Gibson, who is behind the whole weapons thing. He's like this weapons manufacturer. He's like an evil Tony Stark, basically.
Yeah.
To bring Iron Man back into it already. And then a hit is put out on them, so it turns into Smoking Aces.
Yeah, it really does.
We have the Chameleon, who obviously is a chameleon. It's like Tommy Flanagan and Smoking Aces can do the mask thing. And
yep.
That's where we get... He starts off as Walton Goggins, and then he goes to Cuba Gooding Jr., then to Lady Gaga, then to Antonio Banderas. Which is really funny because sometimes, like, after he's been in the costume for a while, he takes over his voice. Like, when we first see Cuba Gooding Jr. and Lady Gaga and Antonio Banderas, they're talking with Walton Goggins' voice.
Yeah.
Which is Because when he turned into Cuba Gooding Jr., I was like, wow, he sounds really weird. And I was like, oh, it's Goggins.
There's an argument to be made that it's Goggins all along, and everybody else is just a mask he wears. But that's the only time you see the real him. Which is also a mask, which makes no sense.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. But, it's supposed to not make sense.
Of course.
Like, at the beginning when the helicopters are, like, over here and they're firing a machete and it's, like, firing downward at him.
Wouldn't have got away with you for it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
So, I guess we should go through the massive cast list really quick.
Sounds good.
Alright, obviously you know Danger. Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez does come back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically answering fan questions here about who does what and how long they're in it. Because the cast list is so long, you obviously know people are going to get wasted.
More ways than one.
Yeah, I already told you, Jessica, the last 3 minutes. Michelle Rodriguez comes back, but it's not till, like, the end.
Very end.
We have Amber Heard, who is an informant for Machete, I guess.
We'll go with that.
I still can't get into her. Apparently she's got a cult following.
She's heavy in this movie too.
Yeah, she has a lot of people who think she's hot, and that's what she's known for. Her whole bi lifestyle or whatever. Apparently she has like a cult following. There's actually like a small group of people that think she's a great actress. People that love All the Boys Love Mandy Lane and The Informers. Those people. Mm-hmm. I can't jump on either one. The closest bandwagon I can jump on is the fact that she's good looking. I think that's pretty undeniable now.
She's not bad.
Sofia Vergara, who I used to hate, but after falling in with Modern Family, I'm in love with now. And she is wonderful and deliciously evil. And she has, obviously everybody knows she's got the tit guns.
Yeah.
That she calls her double days. And you have, she actually has the other gun that Tom Savini had in From Dusk Till Dawn. Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure is a callback.
Guarantee it is.
We have Alexa Vega, and I didn't recognize the other 2 girls. As Sofia Vergara's little henchwomen, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I couldn't tell they were.
And you have it's more or less a cameo by Vanessa Hudgens. I
didn't even know she was even in the movie.
She's not in the trailer, she's not in the beginning credits, she's just there.
Yeah?
She's Damon Bashir's girlfriend, basically. And she's Sofia Vergara's daughter. And she gets offed in her first amount of screen time, which is another... So we have a vengeance coming from Machete's end, we have vengeance coming from Sofia Vergara's end, and it's the whole hullabaloo.
Yep.
Savini comes back from the first one, but he's good now. I think I covered everybody.
Would this be the first time that Charlie Sheen has went under his shoot name?
Yeah, that's why he gets the introducing credit without any SAG problems. I think.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, obviously they try to squeeze a lot of comedy out of the fact that Charlie Sheen's the president. He acts like Charlie Sheen, but I don't know where the rest of the public is now, but I really think this Charlie Sheen ship has long sailed. I mean, I still like him, like when he's in movies. And
yeah.
He's still funny when he's like, being funny. Mm-hmm. But this whole he's funny just because he's Charlie Sheen thing I think that's a long.
Like when Joaquin Phoenix snapped for a while. Snapped for a while.
It should be long over, is what I should say.
Okay.
And there are the funny over the top moments, of course. Like a few more people you might recognize if you're Rodriguez fans. A few returning people from Planet Terror. Mm-hmm. When they gather up their little army at the end, the crazy babysitter twins are in there.
Yeah.
And also when I can't remember, I think it's Machete. Somebody's getting fixed up by a doctor, and it's the doctor that worked with Brolin in Planet Terror. That's I think it's like Rodriguez. It's somebody's actual doctor. He's like a doctor in real life, and he has a really great scene in Planet Terror.
Yeah.
He comes back here as a doctor again. I guess we should talk about some of the money scenes, I guess.
Okay.
The gore scenes.
Oh, yeah.
The first one didn't have many. The only one I could really remember was when he used the intestines as a bungee cord to jump out of the hospital. That's the only one I really remember from the first one. This one has a few of those. We have a particular guy who he has what's now called the Swiss Army knife with machetes or something.
Yeah.
And he cuts the guy's stomach open, but the guy keeps running after him. And they run to a helicopter. So he pulls the guy's intestine out, throws them up into the propeller, and the guy's whole body is pulled in, and he's annihilated. There's this really funny moment where they come into contact with a guy that's basically gonna try to kill him. It's in a wheelchair. So the guy says, "You would shoot a guy in a wheelchair, would you?" Channeling Jack, I guess. So Machete pushes him out into the middle of nowhere where all the people got guns waiting for him, and they all shoot this guy in the wheelchair. And just when you think this guy's been shot to death enough, a rocket comes from the side of the screen and blows him. And then, of course, you have the gun, the inside-out gun.
Yes.
It's like a molecule thing. It's what happened to the monkey in The Fly. Only you get shot with it, and that happens. It turns you inside out. And they do it to a fucking car with people in it. That's pretty wild.
They have pieces of the vehicle just like hanging on their bodies and everything.
We'll talk about Damon Bashir for a second. Pretty much like I mentioned before, basically when he has multiple personalities.
Yes.
He has Mendez the Madman and Mendez the Revolutionary. Where he's sometimes good and sometimes insane.
Mm-hmm.
When he's good, he's basically his character in Savages.
Yeah.
We get a backstory on him. That's his character in Savages, more or less, and it's still alive. And then there's this kind of funny thing where he suddenly has a third personality, where he's like a secret agent or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, how many of you are there? This one's a lot more fun than the original for sure, and a lot more entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically Gibson. We should talk about.
Let's definitely talk about.
I was very excited about Gibson being in this because despite I don't know if we'll lose our Jewish audience or not, but I'm actually a huge fan of Mel Gibson. His work.
I'm a big fan of Mel Gibson's work. The Beaver.
Behind the camera and in front of the camera, absolutely. I just think he's awesome.
He is.
When he's working. I gotta make sure I make that clear so people don't hate me. And he has a lot of... I can't remember if he's played a villain before. He's played crazy before because Martin Riggs was crazy, but I'm sure he's been a villain somewhere, but he has... Your phone.
Yeah, I know.
But he seems to be having a lot of fun with this. And it's good, despite popular belief, I think it's good to see him on screen again.
I agree.
I thought that was a hoot.
He did a really awesome movie a couple years ago. Get the Gringo?
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, excellent film. Most people skip that on. And The Beaver.
Yeah. Yeah, The Beaver's okay.
I like The Beaver.
His real accent got to come out in that.
Yeah, no lie.
It's fun and it's entertaining, but somebody pretty much said the right thing. What this pretty much all amounts to, it's pretty much just building up for the sequel.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's really just kind of a filler piece. But, it's not bad. It's fun, and the action scenes are pretty entertaining and all that. So, it's definitely a step above the first one. I'll say that. So, that's pretty much it.
It's a wild ride. If you like gore, it's right up your alley. Mild recommendation?
Yeah. If you don't...
there's gore.
If it weren't for the fact that Prisoners, Gravity, and Captain Phillips are all out at the same time,
yeah.
I would say why not, but, you really should be doing better things.
Yeah.
But it's really not bad. It's not. I'm sure it'll have the reverse effect. A lot of people love the first one. Something tells me this is probably going to get a bad reception, and I'll be on the opposite sides. That tends to happen.
Yeah, I understand how that goes.
Alright. So is that it?
Yeah.
Alright. Our last one is the straight-to-video Curse of Chucky. But, honestly, I I'm not sure what exactly happened. Maybe there was a distribution problem, or maybe they just couldn't get it off the ground or something. I don't know, but I would say this one is probably more. I would say Seed of Chucky felt more. If one of these movies was going to be straight to video, I would think Seed of Chucky fits that bill more.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like it. Seed is fun, but what this one does is there was a lot of build up around this. When it was like, I think it was originally going to be a remake for a long time, but then they just decided to make another sequel. The big thing about this one is the first one was straight up horror, and then as they progressively went on, they started to get a little more comedic and a little less scary. And then they got into Bride and Seed, and Bride and Seed Bride was kind of a horror comedy, and then Seed was actually like more comedy than horror.
Yeah, it was.
But with Curse, they bring it full circle back around. The Curse is like 95% horror.
Yeah.
So that's a good direction to go. That's what I hate about the fact that it went direct to video, because this is the one that can really bring credibility back to the people that thought it completely lost it.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really well made, and it's some of the effects aren't all there, and there are some things I would have changed, but for the most part, especially for a straight to DVD movie, this is as good as straight to DVD horror gets, more or less.
Okay.
It's I thought this was gonna be a casting spoiler, but it's not really. The main protagonist is played by Brad Dourif's daughter. But no, she's not playing Charles Lee Ray's daughter. I thought, well, that seems pretty obvious to me. That's like an obvious twist, casting Brad Dourif's daughter in a Chucky movie. Surely her character's got to be related to his, but
nope.
No. I mean, they do something with that at the end, but it's not that. But you'll know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But the opening is this: she's a paraplegic, which obviously the twist will reveal why. And she lives with her mom, but her mom is killed.
Okay.
When Chucky's brought into the house, because he's just randomly mailed to the house. We don't know where he came from. That's revealed at the end too. But I'm gonna try to keep this spoiler free because I'm really insisting, if you're a fan of the series, to see this one. Absolutely. I said it's not great. It's not on the level of the first one by any means, but you definitely should see it if you're a fan of the series, because it's. I don't really think I'm spoiling anything, but let's just say I'll get to that at the end. I'll go in chronological order here. I knew it was going to be really well made because it's got this really genuine creepiness back to it. And there's this really good shot of the mom is killed upstairs and we don't know how, and then she's just thrown down the stairs and lands on the floor. And we have I can't remember her name now. Nika, I think her name is.
Yep.
Yes. She's sitting here in her wheelchair, just sitting here, and the mom falls and hits the floor. And it's a shot of the ground, but then as her blood puddles onto the floor, we see Nika's reflection in it as she's reacting to what she's seeing.
Wow.
That's
nice.
That's an awesome shot.
Yes, indeed.
See, that does not sound like a shot that's in a straight to DVD movie.
It really doesn't.
And it's the guy that's like the I think he's the original writer of the original.
Don Mancini?
Yeah, and he did I know he did Seed and stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah, I think he and David Kirshner are created it together, I think. Kirshner created the doll, and Mancini is like the story guy, I think. I'm throwing stuff out here. I'm not sure if it's right, but I got a good idea. Now, I was a little upset about Chucky not having his scars in this one.
Mm.
Because he doesn't, just because they're supposedly going in chronological order, it just seemed weird that he suddenly doesn't have the scars. But, surprising, I don't know what it is, but he was creepy when he was without the scars in the first few movies.
My buddy.
And then he has the scars in Bride and Seed.
Yeah.
Now in Curse that he doesn't have the scars, he looks creepier than he initially did in the first few movies. And of course, I don't know if I should say or not. Should I? It's not that much. I think it actually might be spoiled in the TV spots in the commercial, so I'll go ahead and say it.
Okay.
Because I just want to say it because it just overpowers me with awesomeness. I was a little upset because they're supposedly going in chronological order so he should have his scars, but he doesn't. Yeah. Well, in the middle of the movie, she's getting a good close look at him, and he's just sitting there, and she sees that like on his lip and like on his head, he's starting to like kind of peel. Mm-hmm. And she starts to pull it away, and I was like, I wish I could have seen myself. I was like really fanboying out. Chucky is wearing like this kind of like latex mask covering or something over himself, and as she peels it away, he's scarred underneath.
Nice.
So that was awesome. I love the reveal of it too. Because I was wondering what the fuck it was, and then when she started to peel out, I was like, oh fuck yeah.
And does he keep this? In that case, does he keep that look for the rest of the movie, or does he go back to the?
No, he's scarred the rest of the movie.
Okay.
He looks different. Like it's clearly not the same. Like it was really annoying because he's pure puppet in all the movies, but in this one you could kind of sense when he was puppet and when he was CG. There's even this really bad shot, unfortunately, of you have Nick at the bottom of the stairs and he's walking. It's from above, and we see him walking down the steps. It's clearly like some kid in a wig. So they didn't have to make the puppet walk down the steps. And they do this, it pretty much takes place in like the, if you saw the Tales from the Dark Side movie, the cat segment, it kind of looks like that house, is the set. But they do, what I really love was another thing they did to go back to the original was, in 2 through Seed, it's pretty well known that Chucky walks around and talks and kills people.
Yeah.
But what the first one did, I don't know if this was their intention or not, this is the way I always took it, this is my interpretation anyway.
Okay.
If you go into the first one totally blind, like if you've never seen a poster or a commercial or heard anything, if you're just watching the original movie, knowing absolutely nothing, you could almost think that it's Andy that's killing everybody. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to convince everybody that it's the doll. There's really no clear-cut case of it being Chucky until he comes to life in Captain Phillips' hands. So, they kind of go back to that, because we never see him actually kill anybody for a while. And it's not until like 45, the movie's only an hour and a half, it's about 45 minutes in before he even talks. And it happens randomly too. Like, obviously, much like the third one, he befriends a little girl who is Nika's niece. And they're hiding under the covers. And we haven't heard him talk yet. And so they're just sitting under the covers, and she's like, Chucky, it's like starting to rain or something and storm, and she says, Chucky, I'm scared. And then he just comes to life and says, you fucking should be. Awesome. There's this great scene where it's the first kill of the movie after the prologue. They're all having dinner, like their priest is coming over and the whole family's there. It's Nika, it's her sister, it's her brother-in-law, it's the girl, and it's the girl's babysitter, and it's the priest. And they're all having chili, vegetarian chili. And they have cheese on the top. But then there's poison. And one of the bowls is poisoned. It blends in with the cheese. And it's kind of like the end of Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, the scene with Julia Roberts and the coffee. Mm-hmm. They take the tray out, and all the bowls are distributed, but we don't know which bowl is the poison bowl and who's going to get it.
Wow. And
it's this pretty tense scene. And then that's where we get our... What's great about this movie is it's not a total bloodbath. Mm-hmm. But the people wanting gore won't be disappointed, because when the gore comes, it really fucking comes. The first kill is the person who ends up being poisoned decides they're going to drive home because they don't feel good.
Okay.
And we don't see it happen. We see the aftermath of that. He crashed on the way home, obviously because he was poisoned.
Of course.
And they take off the part of the car. and he's in there, and the first thing we see is just the car and like just crushed to nothing practically, and we just see blood just oozing out of the driver's side door, and then they take the top off, and like his head falls off, and
wow!
There's like it's like Kill Bills basically.
Nice.
There's like exposed spine. This movie likes exposed spine. It happens twice. It's gross. But there's this weird subplot. Oh yeah, another thing that goes back to the original. There's a couple of elements that come back. Particularly, we do get to see. This is another fanboying out moment. We do get to see Brad Dourif actually playing Charles Lee Ray the person in flashbacks.
Wow.
Which we haven't seen since the first movie. And he said something like they had to put like a bunch of makeup on him and use lighting.
He wore a wig too.
Yeah.
That's actually in the FAQ.
And so then, and that flashback kind of goes into it's actually a cool flashback scene that takes place in black and white. There's this particular moment where he has a I guess you could say a hostage.
Okay.
I wouldn't say hostage, but he's kidnapped a woman.
Okay.
That he has a thing for, in the way serial killers have things for women. And he has the room covered in yellow flowers. But the thing is the whole scene is black and white, except the yellow flowers. And it's a really cool shot.
Schindler's List?
Yeah. You don't expect to see Schindler's List type cinematography in a Chucky movie, especially if it's straight to video.
Yeah.
But I love getting that Charles Lee Ray background because I've always wanted to see Charles Lee Ray the person and see how he, worked. There's a couple of callbacks to the first one. Like, we get the exact same shot of, there's this shot when Chucky it's like a POV shot of Chucky walking around causing havoc. And he does this thing where he peeks around the corner, and when he sees nobody looking, he runs by, and we just see, like, what we know is the doll just go by really fast in the background. That's a shot directly lifted from the first one. But since it's the same series, I'm not saying it's stealing, I'm saying it's homaging. So,
of course.
that. And then there's the moment in the first one where after Maggie's death, when Karen's talking to Andy, and he says, Chucky says Aunt Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved. There's a scene like that in this one where they're like praying or something, or they're getting ready to pray. And the little girl says, Chucky says there is no God. And then she like starts to freak out and he says, no, Chucky says that life's a bitch until you die bleeding like a stuck pig.
Nice.
Okay, did I mention the weird lesbian subplot?
No.
Okay, it's actually, okay, it's pretty interesting. Okay, it has a purpose. It's weird when it happens and seems pointless and it's just there for eye candy.
Yeah.
I say eye candy, no pun intended, but you'll know what I mean if you see it. The girl's mom and her babysitter are having this affair.
Okay.
But the thing is the dad already knows about the affair, so he puts in a nanny cam, and he puts the nanny cam in Chucky.
Oh boy.
So that goes to some interesting places.
Yeah.
Alright. That pretty much wraps this up, so I just gotta say one thing.
Alright.
I was curious about ties to the original series. Yeah, everything is really closely tied together. You don't know that until the end, but things are closely tied together. I will say there is a great, highly anticipated cameo at the very end. And I'm not one for after credit scenes, but honest to God, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. I'm just stating a fact that I think you should know going in. The great thing, and like I said, I don't understand why this was released straight to DVD, because this is a big deal for this series. If you wait, I implore you to do that. Obviously, you're either watching it on the internet or DVD, so you can skip the credits, of course. But I absolutely implore you to watch the end credit scene, because number one, the end credit scene is awesome, and something I did not imagine that they could accomplish, per se, is what I'll say. And basically, if you see the post-credit scene, they can't make another one.
No?
The post-credit scene wraps up everything. So it almost should have been an ending instead of post-credit scene, but I suppose it kind of is awesome because it's, hidden there. But yes, for the love of God, if you're going to watch this and you're a big fan of the series, you have to see the post-credit scene. It is so fucking worth it, I promise you. Another thing I need to bring up that doesn't make any sense, and it's never explained. I don't understand. I wish they'd explained it. Chucky doesn't bleed in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, he loses his head and he can just put it back on, but I don't know why that's... Because more time has progressed, because the more time he's in the body, the more human he is.
Yeah.
So that's why he's bleeding like a motherfucker at the end of Seed of Chucky.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I don't understand why he's not bleeding now. But that's never explained, so, whatever. I'm sure some massive fan down the road can explain it to me somehow.
Obviously.
So that's pretty much that. Yeah. It's not a great movie by any means, of course, but it shouldn't have been straight to DVD. And if you're a fan of the series, you absolutely should see it, especially if you stay after the credits.
So we have next week is going to be Escape Plan and Carrie, more horror. And we also have the movies we're going to be watching in Athens in a couple of days.
In a world, and thanks for sharing.
And we have a really awesome versus coming up for this Sunday. Cryptic Comet is Family. And really awesome versus for next Sunday. Cryptic Comet is Daylight. So yeah, AJ, any parting words?
Just like I haven't fanboyed like this over a movie for quite some time.
Really?
I seriously can't express. If you are a fan of the series, for God's sake, see this movie.
All right.
That's all.